Hello, good afternoon and welcome to a very wet and damp Headingley Carnegie Stadium Engage Super League 12 Round 4 action as the Leeds Rhinos take on the Huddersfield Giants. Matthew Horton here bringing you all the action. Can the Rhinos bounce back from disappointment at the Stade Gilbert Brutus last Saturday night? Here are your lineups this afternoon, starting first with our visitors who have the captain Chris Thorman at fullback, a three-quarter line of Matt Gardner, Jamal Lacey, Chris Nero and Paul Riley. Halfbacks are Kevin Brown and Robbie Paul. Up front, Keith Mason, Brad Drew and John Skandalis. The second row, Stuart Jones and Earl Crabtree. And Stephen Wild locks the scrum in jumper 13. Interchange for the Giants today, Andy Raleigh, Darryl Griffin, Ryan Hudson and Steve Snitch. And the Rhinos line up today with Brent Webb at fullback, Scott Donald, Clinton Tupy, Keith Senior and Lee Smith in the three quarters. Danny Maguire, fit after picking a knock-up in Perpignan last week, will partner Rob Burrow at half-back. Up front, Jamie Peacock, Matt Diskin and Ryan Bailey also recovered from injury last week. Second rows, Jamie Jones-Buchanan and Gareth Ellis, and Kevin Sinfield locks the scrum in jumper 13. Interchange for the Rhinos, Ali Lawatiti, Jamie Thackeray, Kylie Luluai and Jordan Tansey. The match official is Mr. Ian Smith. Stick with us, we'll be back with the game shortly. And welcome game time as the Leeds Rhinos come onto the pitch, led by captain Kevin Sinfield and today's mascots, who are Olivia and Georgia Tate, and they're leading the team out with their favourite player. It's an absolute filthy day here at Headingley. Think of the whole match 2 weeks ago and it is just as bad, if not worse. The pitch is very, very heavy. The senior academy game that should have preceded this game was moved to Stanningley yesterday, and it was a win for the Giants by 20 points to 14. It looks like it is going to be Leeds who are going to get us underway. Ian Smith making his way to the middle, resplendent in his blue kit. I've still got a thing about these referee kits. The pink one's just wrong and this blue one's not much better, is it? And here's Roy Adams with the kicking tee, and we're almost ready to get underway. Engage Super League 12 Round 4 here. It's the Leeds Rhinos against the Huddersfield Giants. It's again not going to be a day for fancy football, as referee Smith blows time on, and we are underway here at Headingley Carnegie Stadium. It's a skidding kick which is taken by Robbie Paul. Here is Keith Mason, and Mason met by a big challenge. The teams met here 6 weeks ago in Keith Senior Paul Riley's testimonial match. It was a 50-0 victory for the Rhinos that night, and I can't see it being that today, as Gardner will play the ball, and it's the first penalty of the afternoon, and it's Ian Smith has ruled that the Rhinos have interfered in the play the ball area. And it's going to be Chris Thorman playing in the unfamiliar role of fullback, who will put the ball over the northern touchline about 35 metres away from the line. Paul finds Brad Drew, finds Mason again, and Jamie Peacock went hunting for Keith Mason there as Drew at dummy half pops it inside for Skandalis. Drew at dummy half goes the far side for Crabtree. Unmistakable Big Earl with his blonde flowing locks. Just over halfway, Drew from dummy half goes on his own and puts the dummy in and almost breaks free. Robbie Paul at dummy half finds Thorman. Thorman's going to kick on the fourth tackle. An early test for Brent Webb and Lee Smith, and Webb's lost his footing, and Webb has done really well to take that ball in. He's been dragged over, and Ian Smith's going to rule he was tackled and illegally pushed back into the in goal. And I think that's a bit of an escape for Brent Webb. I think he was just pushed straight through. It's going to be Kevin Sinfield with the penalty, and Leeds will start just on the 20-metre line. It's with Burrow, finds Jamie Peacock. Good hit from Stuart Jones. Diskin at dummy half finds Ryan Bailey, who's thankfully recovered from the injury picked up in France last weekend. Diskin at dummy half finds Burrow, out for Maguire. Here's Jamie Jones-Buchanan, and he straightens up and into the arms of Robbie Paul, but gets over the 40-metre line. Burrow at dummy half finds the captain Sinfield, and Sinfield goes to ground on halfway. Diskin at dummy half, finds Burrow. Here's Jamie Jones Buchanan, has a couple of grabs before finding Senior, and Senior is immediately taken. Last tackle for the Rhinos, just short of halfway. It's with Maguire, and again the high kick, and Leeds seem to be kicking into a breeze, and that's come off Scott Donald. It's going to be play on, and it's in the hands of Chris Thorman. Brad Drew at dummy half finds the ex-Rhino Matt Gardner, who had 3-4 productive years here in the academy. Paul Riley at dummy half, playing in the unfamiliar wing role today. Also, Huddersfield have had a week off because of the Carnegie World Club Challenge last weekend. They were due to play Saints, and they've had the weekend off. It's 2 weeks since they last played. Drew at dummy half, looks up, spots the markers asleep, and that ball's come out, and referee Smith's ruled it backwards, but then Robbie Paul has come up with the first error of the afternoon and will pack the scrum down about 35 metres away from the Rhinos line. And Brad Drew's having a bit of push and shove with Matt Diskin. He's in a bit of pain, is Brad Drew at the moment. The trainer's on. Referee Smith calls time off, and here come the water carriers. Russ has got a smile on his face. Time's off. And from the scrum, Sinfield from the base, looking for Webb, and the gap closed quickly. And Brent Webb goes to ground, 5 metres short of halfway. Sinfield at dummy half, finds Senior. Senior straightens up, gets the Rhinos to halfway, but then push back. Good defence from the Huddersfield Giants. Earl Crabtree leading the way. Scott Donald at dummy half, finds Maguire. Here's Peacock. And Peacock goes to ground a couple of metres short of halfway. Diskin at dummy half, finds Maguire. Maguire looking to switch the play, but no gaps in this Huddersfield defence at the moment. Diskin at dummy half, finds Sinfield. Sinfield with the dummy. Can he get the arms free? No, he can't. And goes to ground, 35 away from the line. Diskin at dummy half, last tackle for the Rhinos, up the short side with Burrow, and Burrow puts it along the ground, expecting this to stand up on the heavy pitch, but it goes over the dead ball line, and we'll have a 20-metre restart. And it is Brad Drew who gets on with it, finds Keith Mason. Drew again at dummy half, goes the far side for Jamal Lacey. Drew again at dummy half, in for Scandalis, and Scandalis easily put to ground there. Drew at dummy half, finds Crabtree, and Crabtree goes to ground just short of halfway. Drew again at dummy half, goes for Brown. Good quick pass from Brown. Nero out for Riley. First chance for the Giants as Riley cuts in field, and it's good cover defence from Rob Burrow. Last tackle for the Giants. Drew at dummy half, finds Thorman, and again the high kick is the tactic of the day. Webb has got Paul chasing him, and this time this will be a goal line dropout. Brent Webb this time slid from the field of play. Robbie Ball was on the spot, and that's going to be a goal line dropout. Time off call by Ian Smith. Brent Webb just thrown the ball away, and Leeds are in no rush to get on with it. Kevin Sinfield just remonstrating with Ian Smith slightly. The Huddersfield fans behind the posts are putting the bird on, giving the referee the boos. And here is Sinfield with the goal line dropout. It's a good one. It's going to go over their heads, and it's going to go all the way to Gardner, who will field on halfway. Matt Gardner looks up. How good's the chase? It's good, and it's Jamie Jones Buchanan leading the way. Robbie Paul at dummy half, finds Keith Mason. Giants 26 away from the Rhinos line with Drew, finds Scandalis. Scandalis gets into the 20. Drew at dummy half, switches the play, finds Kevin Brown, back for Stuart Jones, and Jones goes to ground on the 10-metre line. Drew at dummy half. Tries the short side but just runs straight into Jamie Peacock, and a penalty is going to be given. Jamie Peacock ruled to be not square. Drew had the ball stolen as well, but the referee had already given the penalty. And referee Smith wants to give the mark before they get on with things. And they were going to go for a quick tap, and now they've pointed at the post, and Chris Thorman's going to have the first shot of the day. And just to wait for the kicking tee to come on. And time off's called, and also heralds the arrival of the trainers. Ian Smith just urging the Rhinos players to go back the 10. Time on waved by referee Smith. Here is Chris Thorman with first chance of points this afternoon. Here is Thorman, kicks on its way, and the flags are up. First points here at Headingley Carnegie Stadium in this Engage Super League 12 clash. It's the Rhinos 0, the Giants 2. And it's going to be Kevin Sinfield to get us back underway. Again, kick, this time a little higher. Robbie Paul sticks the hands up and fields and tips it off for Keith Mason, and Mason runs straight at Jamie Jones Buchanan but gets back to the 20-metre line. Paul at dummy half finds Earl Crabtree, and Crabtree with the dummy before running into Jamie Peacock. Brad Drew at dummy half finds Scandalis again, and Scandalis has lost that. Drew's given play on, and now he's going to give a knock on. Ian Smith was just waiting for an advantage to come. There was none forthcoming. Ball's been kicked away by a Huddersfield player, and Leeds will get possession 36 metres away from the Giants line. Gareth Ellis is hiding at the standoff position, and Ian Smith's telling Danny Maguire to pack into the scrum. There were a few penalties given for that last night down at Salford as Maguire from the base finds Ellis, and Ellis straightens up, gets past Thorman, but Stephen Wild was there on the cover. Leeds 24 away from the line. Burrow at dummy half finds Maguire. Maguire gets it out for Clinton Tupy on the 20-metre line. Maguire at dummy half finds Sinfield. Sinfield pops it back for Maguire. Maguire's got Brad Drew up in front of him, and him and Kevin Brown bring Maguire to ground. Diskin at dummy half finds Peacock. Peacock charging into the Huddersfield line, just can't get the arms free, 6 metres away from the line. Diskin at dummy half goes on his own. Matt Diskin for the line is going to be pushed back by 4 Huddersfield defenders. Last tackle for the Rhinos. Ellis at dummy half finds Maguire, not the best pass into the hands of Brent Webb. Webb's knocked it on, and this is going to be play on, and it's in the hands of Brad Drew. And referee Smith's ruled Drew was milking it, 0 tackle. Here it is for Stephen Wild. Thorman at dummy half goes on his own and goes to the northern side. Lacey at dummy half goes on his own and cuts infield. The third of the West Tigers contingent that joined the Giants through the winter. Shane Elford actually played in the academy game yesterday's. Paul short pass for Crabtree. South Stand thought it was forward. It looks okay from here, and it's in the hands of Drew, and Drew is going to drive the ball down the northern touchline, and Webb will field on the 10-metre line and looks up, looks to cut infield, but the chase is good, and Leeds will start 15 from their own line. Donald at dummy half goes crossfield, and here's a gap for Scott Donald, and Donald's in the clear. Donald's only got Thorman to beat. Donald against Thorman, and it's good work from the Huddersfield fullback, but Leeds are on a roll. Quick play the ball, Webb at dummy half, finds Rob Burrow. Burrow coming to this near side for Tupy. Tupy's got Smith back inside for Burrow, and Burrow just can't take the pass in, and the chance has gone for the Rhinos, but super work from Scott Donald in the build-up to all that. It was an excellent break from the Rhinos winger. Webb and Burrow continued the movement. The pass for Tupy, and Tupy back to Burrow, and Rob Burrow just couldn't collect, and will pack a scrum down. As Paul feeds the scrum, Giants looking to keep it in the base to catch the Rhinos offside as Thorman gets the ball. Robbie Paul at dummy half, goes on his own, goes cross field, and is met by Maguire and Jamie Jones. Drew at dummy half, finds Mason, and it's simple one out football from the Giants at the moment. Drew at dummy half, changes the direction for Skandalis. Drew again at dummy half for Thorman outside the 40, looking to turn Lee Smith, and this ball's going to head towards sideline, and Smith does really well to keep it in, and he's got Riley and Nero in front of him, tips it inside for Webb. Webb up against Brown, and he's got away from Brown, back for Tupy, and Tupy eventually put to ground just short of the 20. Sinfield at dummy half finds Lee Smith. Diskin at dummy half finds Keith Senior infield, helping the forwards out. Diskin at dummy half finds Ryan Bailey. Still looks to be showing no after effects of the knock he picked up last week, as Diskin at dummy half finds Peacock. Peacock fighting his way, trying to get his hands free, but can't. 5 metres short of halfway. Last tackle for the Rhinos. Sinfield at dummy half will put boot to ball, hoping that this will stand up. It's very heavy, the pitch in that area, and Thorman fields 5 metres from his own line and runs into a big shoulder from Danny Maguire. And Leeds putting the shove on, and eventually Thorman goes to ground. Riley at dummy half. Dummies goes on his own, doesn't get away from the clutches of Ellis at marker. Drew at dummy half finds Mason. Mason met by a big strong challenge from Gareth Ellis. Drew again at dummy half, again looking for the short side and Kevin Brown, but that's good defence this time from Smith. Drew at dummy half finds Crabtree, and Crabtree straightens up into Diskin and Peacock and gets to halfway. Last tackle for the Giants, it's with Thorman, and Thorman will just dab the kick over into the corner. It's very heavy in that corner as well, and it goes over the dead ball line and will come back to the 20. And Leeds get on with Diskin, who finds Jamie Jones Buchanan. Smith at dummy half, just settle things down. And that's going to be a penalty against Keith Mason. Referee Smith has ruled he's had a little kick at the ball. And it's Sinfield with the touch finder. And that's going to go over the south stand touchline, and Leeds will start on the 40-metre line. Burrow at dummy half finds Gareth Ellis. 2 footballs on the field at the moment. We're going to play on though, as Diskin at dummy half finds Jamie Peacock. Diskin at dummy half finds Burrow, out for Maguire. Maguire gets Webb looping him round the back, out for Senior. Senior, can he get a head of steam on against Stephen Wild? But he goes to ground on the 10-metre line. Donald at dummy half finds Jamie Jones, out for Bailey. That's gone backwards to Sinfield. Sinfield out of the back door for Burrow. Chance here for the Rhinos. Rob Burrow for the line. Pops it out for Tupy. And that's the first try of the game. 17 minutes on the clock. And Clinton Tupy gets the first try. It all came from Sinfield. All came from Sinfield, losing the ball backwards. The first pass wasn't good. Bailey lost it backwards. Sinfield somehow squeezes the ball out. It was Rob Burrow who found the gap. He was going down in the channel, and then he managed to pop it up for Clinton Tupy, who dives over the line. And here is Kevin Sinfield with the conversion attempt. He's 10 metres in on the southern side of the ground. Here is Sinfield, kicks on the way, and it's going to fade across the front of the post. 18 minutes on the watch here at Headingley Carnegie Stadium. Engage Super League 12. It's Leeds Rhinos 4, Huddersfield Giants 2. And welcome back as Chris Thorman is about to get us back underway after the Clinton Tupy try. Line drive kick trapped on the foot by Maguire, and he finds Ryan Bailey. And Bailey taken in a good strong three-man challenge. Maguire at dummy half finds Jamie Jones Buchanan. Diskin at dummy half finds Peacock. Peacock turns in the challenge, looks to get the ball away. Diskin at dummy half. Pops it out for Sinfield, who runs straight into the arms of Earl Crabtree. Diskin at dummy half, looking to check the markers, not square. Pops it out for Burrow. Burrow ducking, weaving, looking for the gap. And Rob Burrow gets to halfway. Sinfield at dummy half. Again, putting the kick in, looking to turn Thorman. Will this sit up in the in-goal area? It will. Good kick from Kevin Sinfield. How good's the chase? It's not bad, and it's Tupy and Ellis leading the way. Riley at dummy half goes on his own, and Huddersfield looking to make the first change of the afternoon. We'll bring you that one shortly as Gardner gets into dummy half, and it's going to be Keith Mason who makes his way to sideline. And coming onto the field is Darryl Griffin. And penalty for Huddersfield. They will start just short of the 40-metre line. Brown at dummy half. Not the best pass. And Skandalis is just forced to die with the tackle. Almost a voluntary tackle. Referee's called held. Skandalis plays the ball on the 40. Here's Darryl Griffin, who was at the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats last season. Drew at dummy half finds Robbie Paul. Paul gets Stephen Wild coming in round the back, and that's super defence from Scott Donald. Gardner at dummy half finds Robbie Paul for Big Earl Crabtree, and Crabtree goes to ground on the 30-metre line. Drew at dummy half finds Kevin Brown. Here's Thorman in round the back for Nero. Robbie Burrows clinging on for dear life, but gets it to Jones. Here's Drew looping pass for Paul for Crabtree, and Huddersfield are going to score. 21 minutes on the clock, and it's Earl Crabtree who scores for the Huddersfield Giants. All came from the movement of Nero. Nero manages to pop the ball out for Drew. Drew with the looping pass for Robbie Paul. Huddersfield had a really big superior numerical advantage, and Paul just popped the pass out, and Earl Crabtree was able to walk over the line for the try. And here is Chris Thorman with the conversion attempt for the Giants. He's 20 metres in, northern side of the ground. Here is Thorman, kicks on its way, and the flags are up here at Headingley Carnegie Stadium. 23 minutes on the clock. Engage Super League 12. It's Leeds Rhinos 4, Huddersfield Giants 8. And here is Kevin Sinfield to get us back underway. Fielded by Robbie Paul, and here is the substitute Griffin. Huddersfield have made another change. Andy Raleigh in jumper 12 has come on, and also for the Rhinos, Kylie Luluai has replaced Jamie Peacock as Gardner at dummy half. Finds Elford. Drew at dummy half. Finds Andy Raleigh, who's just joined us and met by a thumper of a challenge from Gareth Ellis. Drew at dummy half. Finds Robbie Paul. Paul looking to step away from Sinfield but can't. Drew at dummy half for Thorman. Kick coming here. And Thorman looking to turn Webb, but Brent Webb's positioned superbly to field that ball on the 20-metre line. Goes to the northern touchline. And it's a good kick return as well from Brent Webb. Senior at dummy half finds Scott Donald, and Donald's chopped down by Robbie Paul, who dashed out of the defensive line. Diskin finds Burrow. Here's Lee Smith, and Smith pops back in field. Look to cop a bit of a high one from Kevin Brown, and the referee's got it, and he's going to award the penalty. 3-2 in favour of Leeds, the penalty count at the moment. And it's going to be Sinfield with the touch finder. And Leeds will start 35 metres away from the line, with Burrow, who finds Kylie Luluai. Big roar from the south stand, and it's a good run from Kylie Luluai. Gets to the 20-metre line. Diskin at dummy half finds Ellis. Ellis with the step and goes to ground just short of the 10-metre line. Chance for Leeds as Diskin at dummy half fires it out for Maguire. Maguire, short pass for Jamie Jones, and Leeds are in, and he's going to go around the post. Jamie Jones Buchanan with the try for the Rhinos. It was all too simple. It was off the back of a penalty. Leeds moved the ball out, 2 from dummy half. Ball's into the hands of Maguire. Huddersfield defence hesitates, and Maguire just pops the ball out for Jamie Jones Buchanan to get over for the try. And here is Kevin Sinfield with the conversion attempt for the Rhinos on the black dot. I'm not going to tempt fate. And Sinfield with the kick. The flags are up. Engage Super League 12 here at Headingley Carnegie Stadium. 27 minutes on the clock. It's the Leeds Rhinos 10, Huddersfield Giants 8. And here is Chris Thorman to get us back underway. Kick is high. Webb sticks the hands up and tips it off for Jamie Thackeray, and Thackeray gets a good head of steam up and gets back to the 20-metre line. I wonder if he's been talking about that try in Perpignan all week, as Luluai carts it up for the Rhinos. Diskin at dummy half, not the best player of the ball, to Burrow, who does really well to get hold before he's taken by Andy Raleigh. Brent Webb at dummy half, looks, throws the dummy and almost gets away from the clutches of Raleigh. Sinfield at dummy half finds Thackeray. Sinfield at dummy half finds Burrow, who's going to put boot to ball, and he's nearly turned Thorman, who fields at the second attempt 10 metres away from his own line, and Thorman runs straight at Thackeray and Diskin. Huddersfield making to look to make another change. Brad Drew is making his way to sideline for Huddersfield, and on comes Ryan Hudson. Paul at dummy half finds Andy Raleigh. Here is Hudson at dummy half, finds Darryl Griffin. Hudson at dummy half finds Crabtree. Hudson at dummy half finds Thorman, and Thorman looks and puts the high kick in. Again, looking to test Brent Webb. Robbie Paul again is there, and that's a super take from the New Zealand international. Tupy at dummy half. Just goes on his own and settles things down. Senior at dummy half. Infield helping the forwards. Plenty of messing about in the play the ball as Lee Smith goes from dummy half, and Lee Smith almost got away, but Ryan Hudson was there to cover the danger. Here's Jamie Thackeray. And the ball's come out, and this is going to be play on. Here's Hudson at dummy half. Zero tackle that for the Giants. Leeds have made a change. Lauatiti has sneaked on for Jamie Jones-Buchanan. Hudson at dummy half finds Robbie Paul, and that's for Elford, and Elford's come up with a mistake, and referee Smith is going to give the scrum. And as the scrum goes down, the rain still pelting down here at Headingley. Really is a filthy day as Sinfield from the base of the scrum finds Maguire out for Clinton Tupy. And Tupy is put to ground by Thorman and Brown. And again, a bit of messing about in the play of the ball as Maguire finds Luluai. Diskin at dummy half finds Ellis out for Burrow. Burrow, short pass for Lauatiti, but Lauatiti was almost pounced on as he got the football. Burrow at dummy half finds Jamie Thackeray. Thackeray fell into that challenge. It did look a little high, but Thackeray did lose his footing as Diskin at dummy half finds Webb out for Maguire. Chance here for the Rhinos. Sinfield back on the inside, and it's Sinfield with the break out for Lee Smith. Here's Lee Smith for the corner. Can Lee Smith get there? Yes, he can. 31 minutes on the clock, and it's Lee Smith who gets the try, and there's a little bit of afters going on here. It's all blown up in the corner. Oh, what's going on here? Try's not been awarded yet. Something's gone on. Here's Sinfield with the conversion attempt. He's right on the corner, right on the south stand touchline. Here is Sinfield, kicks on its way, and this has got chances. It's been waved away. We've had 34 minutes here at Headingley Carnegie Stadium. Engage Super League 12. It's Leeds Rhinos 14, Huddersfield Giants 8. This will cause a little bit of reorganisation in both ranks. Well, Huddersfield have pushed Kevin Brown onto the wing. I would presume Lee Smith will go into the full-back role as Chris Thorman gets us back underway again with the line drive kick, trapped on the foot by Maguire, and he finds Kylie Luluai, and Luluai, good powerful run. Maguire at dummy half finds Lauatiti out for Donald, and here's Scott Donald in the clear. He's only got Thorman to beat. Inside ball isn't the best. Maguire's been taken out, and referee Smith's going to give a penalty. It was a super ball from Lauatiti that released Scott Donald, and again this is spicing up a bit like the testimonial game here 6 weeks ago. There's going to be a bit of knuckle coming in here. Penalty's been given for pulling back. It's going to be Sinfield with the touch finder. We're 4.5 minutes on my watch away from half time, and here's Burrow, taps the ball to Luluai. Oh, and the third man in there, that was Griffin, had a bit of a swing. Diskin at dummy half back for Jamie Thackeray, and Thackeray looks to get the legs pumping but can't, and he's pulled to ground 6 metres from the line. Ball's come out, and referee Smith's going to rule a knock on. And Huddersfield are looking to make another change just short of half time. coming up here, mate. They might put it on the electronic board in front of you as well, just keep an eye out for that as well. And it's from the base of the scrum. Here's Crabtree. Hudson at dummy half. And it's going to be Earl Crabtree who comes off for the Giants. Good hit that. Here's Hudson from dummy half. Paul at dummy half finds Andy Raleigh, and that's another big hit from Kylie Luluai. Paul at dummy half goes on his own. Hudson will kick from dummy half. Lee Smith goes on his own. Huddersfield have made yet another change. It's John Skandalis who's sneaked back on and Andy Raleigh who's come off. As Diskin from dummy half finds Smith. Smith gets away from the first challenge. Tupy at dummy half. Pops it back for Maguire. Maguire looking to find an offload. Finds Luluai and cops a late one from Jones for his troubles there, did Maguire. Here's Senior, finds Maguire, dabs the little ball over the top. Is that going to hold up in the in-goal area? It is, and Thorman has got a load of work to do, and Thorman has been pushed back, we think, and it's going to be a goal line dropout for the Leeds Rhinos and a repeat set 2 minutes away from half-time. And Huddersfield in no rush to get on with it. Referee Smith has finally called time off, and it is going to be Chris Thorman with the goal line dropout. It's not bad. It's going to beat Maguire, and Jamie Thackeray's going to field just inside his own half, and Thackeray looks up, runs straight at Stuart Jones and bounces off him before falling into the challenger Steve Snitch. Diskin at dummy half finds Kylie Luluai. Diskin at dummy half finds Burrow out for Maguire. Here's Lawatiti. Here's danger. Senior breaks the first challenge. He's heading towards sideline, and can he stay in the field of play? No, he can't. And we're going to pack a scrum down. Leeds have packed this scrum down here, and Rob Burrows in the second row. From the base, it's with Snitch, who's just come on. Clean shirt. Paul at dummy half finds Stuart Jones. Hudson goes to short side, and Jamal Alesi. Hudson again, tips it inside, this time for Skandalis. And that's going to be a penalty against Kylie Luluai for messing about in the play of the ball. Huddersfield looking to get on with it. We're over the 40-minute mark here at Headingley. There has been a couple of stoppages for the Biffo and a couple of goal line dropouts, and it's a last chance for the Giants just before half-time. Robbie Paul looks up the short side, finds Stephen Wild. Paul at dummy half finds Skandalis. Skandalis pops it out for Raleigh, and Raleigh is just held onto by Jamie Thackeray. 8 metres away from the line. Hudson at dummy half tries the short side, and Paul puts a little kick in. Everybody's missed it, and Scott Donald's gone onto that, and Scott Donald saved the day for the Rhinos, but it's going to be a goal line dropout. Billy Watts must have his finger on the trigger for half time. And time off again called by Ian Smith. Time on call by Ian Smith. It's going to be Kevin Sinfield with the goal line dropout. Again, it's high, and it's going to be fielded by Robbie Paul on the 30-metre line. Tips it inside for Andy Raleigh, and Raleigh going cross field. Oh, big hit again. Oh, Jamie Thackeray and Gareth Ellis as Hudson at dummy half finds Kevin Brown out for Thorman. Not the best pass. Burrow up against Nero. Nero's popped it inside for Thorman. Thorman tries the little kick through, and Lee Smith is there to cover the dangers. Referee Smith's given play on, and Lee Smith goes to ground just short of the 10-metre line. Looked to be a bit of a swan dive, that, from Thorman, as Senior carts it upfield for the Rhinos. That's it. Half time here at Headingley Carnegie Stadium. 3 tries for the Rhinos. Clinton Tupy, Jamie Jones Buchanan and Lee Smith. A reply from Earl Crabtree. Couple of goals for Chris Thorman, 1 for Kevin Sinfield. That's it. Half time. 14-8 to the Rhinos. Stick with us. We'll be back with the second half shortly. And welcome back to the second half as referee Ian Smith blows time on, and we're underway for the second half. Kick is high from Thorman, fielded by Lee Smith, and he tips it infield for Jamie Thackeray. Most of the teams, Huddersfield have had a change of kit, just a few of the Leeds players have, as it's with Sinfield. Diskin at dummy half finds Kylie Luluai. Diskin again tries the short side and finds Clinton Tupy, as Leeds just have a steady set out in this second half. They've got what little of the conditions they have behind them at the moment, as Diskin scoots out a dummy half, pops it back for Tupy, and Tupy looking for the gap, just can't get the ball away. Last tackle for the Rhinos. 15 inside the Huddersfield half. Sinfield with the high kick. This is going to bounce and could bounce anywhere. It's come off the crossbar. Back for Luluai. Luluai flings the ball out backwards. Burrow's got it, and it's going to be a turnover, and that was amazing. Not seen anything like that for a long time, as Sinfield's bomb comes cascading off the crossbar as Raleigh brings it out for the Huddersfield Giants. Hudson at dummy half finds Thorman out for Kevin Brown. Don't forget, both teams have a player in the sin bin at the moment. Brent Webb for Leeds and Paul Riley for Huddersfield, as it's with Scandalis, who's dumped to ground on halfway. Hudson at dummy half finds Thorman, and Thorman shaped to kick initially but hangs on and just runs straight back in to the 2 props on the field at the moment. Hudson at dummy half tries this short side, pops it out for Paul. Paul for Wild, out for Lulesi, and it's been dropped by Gardner. Ball's still loose, and eventually it's in the hands of Scott Donald, who's got it. A Leeds man's got it, and the referee Smith's given play on. That was a right Shamojal down below, as his Senior at dummy half finds Lawatiti, pops it back out for Donald. Donald cuts in field, goes cross field, looking to find a gap. It's taken a little high by Steve Snitch, but eventually goes to ground. Diskin at dummy half finds Jamie Thackeray, and Thackeray straightens things up for the Rhinos, who's lifted up in the tackle. Legs just went above the horizontal, and that's going to be a penalty for the Leeds Rhinos. And that's, we think, the 4th penalty of the afternoon, 5th penalty of the afternoon for the Rhinos. And it's going to be Kevin Sinfield with the touch finder. Decent kick from Sinfield. Leeds will start 25 metres away from the Huddersfield line. Here's Paul, finds Kylie Luluai, and Luluai charges in, and Huddersfield have been called offside by referee Smith, and Leeds wanted to get on with it quickly, but referee Smith needed to set the mark as Burrow finds Maguire. Maguire with the dummy, with the step, can't get away from the attentions of Stephen Wild. Burrow again at dummy half finds Jamie Thackeray, and Thackeray goes to ground, centre field, 12 away from the Huddersfield line. Diskin at dummy half tries the northern side, pass out for Ellis, and Ellis has dropped the ball, and it's going to be ruled a knock on by referee Smith, and we'll come back for the first scrum of the second half. And it's Kevin Brown who's fed the scrum. Referee Smith telling to get the heads in as Brown from the base finds Nero. And Nero fighting, not going to ground, eventually takes 3 Rhinos defenders. Hudson at dummy half finds Snitch. Hudson again at dummy half, inside for Scandalis. Hudson again at dummy half. Probing, and Ryan Hudson's made the break, and they're queuing up here. He's got Thorman on the inside. Thorman has been tackled back by Jamie Thackeray. Super defence from Jamie Thackeray. Huddersfield on a roll. Here's Hudson again, out for Wild, back for Jamal Lalacy. Lalacy back inside for Robbie Paul. Paul flings it out for Brown, 4-on-2. Ellis gets across, Brown flings it out for Nero. Nero for Riley, who sneaked back on. Here's Robbie Paul out for Kevin Brown. Super play from the Huddersfield Giants, and eventually it's going to result in a penalty for a high tackle, but that was razzle-dazzle football from the Huddersfield Giants. And they've got the reward of a penalty. And they're getting on with it. Here's Scandalis. Jamie Peacock's looking to get back in the game, and Scandalis is held up right on the line. Hudson at dummy half finds Thorman, out for Robbie Paul. Paul dummies to Snitch. Paul puts the little kick in, looking for Gardner, and Scott Donald is there to cover the danger, but it's going to be a goal line dropout, and Leeds will now look to make this change. During the goal line dropout, as Kylie Luluai goes off and Jamie Peacock comes onto the field. And here is Sinfield with the goal line dropout. Skids along the floor, trapped on the foot by Robbie Paul, and he finds Andy Raleigh. Raleigh gets back to the 30-metre line. Hudson at dummy half finds Brown. Brown probing, prodding, can't find a way through. Huddersfield also looking to make a change. Here's Scandalis as Andy Raleigh goes off for Huddersfield. Keith Mason back on. Here's Robbie Paul. Paul decides to attack the line on his own, where he's taken down by Brent Webb. Hudson at dummy half finds Thorman. Thorman with the short pass for Mason, and Mason, it's been ruled forward, and the Rhinos survive. And we'll pack the scrum down on the 10-metre line. Leeds looking to make yet another changes. Ryan Bailey's on sideline. It's Clinton Tupy. Here's Sinfield at dummy half. Finds Keith Senior. Senior up against Stephen Wild. Senior's lost that ball. It's been ruled backwards by referee Smith, and Danny Maguire is there to cover the danger. Lawatiti at dummy half will just go on his own. And everybody's screaming for a knock-on in there. Referee Smith's not seen anything. Diskin at dummy half finds Sinfield, and Leeds going to kick the way out of trouble. It's a good kick. It's turned Thorman. How good's the chase? Thorman collects just outside the 20. It's Ellis and Burrow leading the way, and it's Rob Burrow who's dumped him into the ground. Nero at dummy half goes on his own crossfield and loses his footing. Matt Gardner in off the wing to help out. Oh, big hit, Gareth Ellis and Jamie Peacock. Oh, felt that one up here. Hudson at dummy half decides to go on his own, and Hudson again has got through the markers, but Brent Webb there to cover the danger. Paul at dummy half has nowhere to go, gets it out for Snitch, and Snitch just runs straight into the arms of Lawatiti. Last tackle for the Huddersfield Giants. Paul at dummy half finds Thorman. Thorman dabs the little kick in. Lee Smith should be first there and is, and Smith cops a high one from Kevin Brown, but referee Smith's ruled it on the shoulder. Clinton Tupy at dummy half. Brent Webb at dummy half finds Ryan Bailey. And Huddersfield have thrown it all away by conceding a cheap penalty. Marker's not square, and Leeds will get the chance to kick their way out of trouble. And it's going to be Sinfield with the touch finder. And Leeds will start just over the 30-metre line. Here's Burrow, finds Jamie Jones-Buchanan, who's just rejoined the action. Diskin at dummy half, finds Peacock. Diskin at dummy half, prods short pass for Sinfield again, and gets the Rhinos over the halfway line. Burrow at dummy half, goes on his own, finds Jamie Jones-Buchanan again, and Jamie Jones beats the first couple of challenges, pops it out for Maguire. Oh, that's good defence from Stephen Wild. Lauatiti at dummy half, finds Brent Webb. Webb with the dummy, but runs straight into Robbie Paul. Webb still fighting to get away. He's lost the ball, it's gone backwards, and Senior will pick up and collect. Senior straightens up, points out Scandalis, and Scandalis and Snitch bring him to ground. Last tackle for the Rhinos, Burrow. Leeds have got numbers here. Burrow with the little dummy, puts the kick in. Here's Thorman, and Thorman's going to go to ground in goal, and it's going to be a goal line dropout by the Huddersfield Giants. Super kick that from Rob Burrow. If you remember 2 weeks ago, there was a kick into that corner that held up for Matt Singh that allowed him to score. That ball was never really going to go dead. Oh, and Huddersfield looked to take a quick kick, and referee Smith wasn't ready, and Ryan Hudson's remonstrating with the official. And it's just a reminder for Leeds, they need to be a bit more aware. It's normally a trick of Kevin Sinfield's, that. And it's going to be Thorman with the goal line dropout. Not the best, it's gone really low, and it's going to be fielded by Maguire, 5 metres short of halfway. Here's Jamie Peacock winding up for the Rhinos. Diskin at dummy half, finds Jamie Jones-Buchanan. Diskin again at dummy half, finds Burrow, back for Luke Bailey. Diskin at dummy half, finds Burrow. Burrow looks up, pops it back for Diskin, but that's good cover defence. Peacock at dummy half, finds Sinfield. Sinfield looks to straighten things up, pops the ball out, and that's gone into the hands of a Huddersfield player, and Sinfield seemed to think that was a knock on, and referee Smith's going to call time off because Rob Burrow's down injured and he's going to be interfering with the play. Jordan Tanzi's just had a move off. And Brad Drew has returned to the action to replace Ryan Hudson. And another change about to come for the Huddersfield Giants. And there's some concern here for Rob Burrow at the moment. Didn't quite see what happened in the build-up, and Rob Burrow's got up. He's looking a little bit groggy, a bit unsteady on the feet there. And Marion Jones is checking Rob Burrow out. And Rob Burrow is making his way back into the defensive line. Earl Crabtree's trying to get into the game as well, and Rob Burrow takes his position up on the defensive line as Robbie Paul picks up from dummy half. And it's Steve Snitch who makes his way to sideline, and Earl Crabtree comes on. Drew at dummy half, finds Mason. 13 minutes of the second half gone, no addition to the half-time score at the moment as Drew finds Scandalis. Drew at dummy half, finds Mason, gets it back for Paul, out for Jones. Here's Nero, here's Riley down the wing. Riley cuts in field, where he's taken by the covering Jamie Jones-Buchanan. Last tackle for the Giants, it's with Thorman, out for Drew. Drew drives the kick in along the floor, that's going to hold up on the turf, but Brent Webb is there to cover the danger. And Webb looks up, goes backwards, and then's taken by Kevin Brown on the 10-metre line. Donald at dummy half goes on his own and straightens up. Webb at dummy half leaves it for Senior. Smith at dummy half goes on his own and just settling things down, taking the pressure off the forwards, and puts it around on the 30. Diskin at dummy half, kips it into field for Peacock, and it's definitely been a safety set from the Rhinos as Diskin at dummy half finds Maguire, and Maguire pumps the ball downfield. This goes over, this is going to be a 40-20, and Thorman has done really well to keep that into the field of play. How good's the chase? Maguire's leading it, and Jamie Jones-Buchanan is with the hit, and Leeds looking to put the shove on. Ball's still moving, and that under the new rules is play on. It's a dominant tackle as well, and Riley at dummy half goes on his own, where he's collared by Ryan Bailey. It was across the chest. Here's Matt Gardner in to settle things down. It's becoming a little bit attritional out there in the middle now. Drew at dummy half finds Skandalis again. Drew again at dummy half finds Robbie Paul, and it's last tackle for the Giants. They're just short of the 40. Drew out of dummy half will kick, and that ball is going to hold up in the mud on the southern touchline, where it's fielded by Brent Webb, and Webb looking to get away from Crabtree but just can't. Diskin at dummy half will go on his own, didn't really have any runners with him, and cops a big one from Skandalis. Smith at dummy half finds Peacock, and Peacock drives the Rhinos over halfway, still going Jamie Peacock. Super run from Peacock, made 20 metres almost there. Burrow at dummy half finds Maguire, back for Bailey. Burrow at dummy half finds Sinfield, pops a little ball up for Maguire, and Maguire fends off Paul and cuts back in field and just can't find a chink in the claret and gold wall. Last tackle for the Rhinos. Webb tries the short side, and Burrow with the banana kick into midfield. Rob Burrow was taken out by Jamal Alesi. Nothing been seen by the touch judges, and it's brought the boos out, and Huddersfield are getting on with it. Here's the touch judge in from the far side. Robbie Paul's thrown the ball down in frustration. It's Mick Wilson who's seen what's gone on. It didn't look that late. I've seen a lot worse. And Ian Smith is going to call over Jamal Alesi. He's going to go to the sin bin for this as well, Jamal Alesi. And the incident will go on report as well. Ian Smith's in the back pocket. This is going to be yellow for Jamal Alesi. He gets 10 minutes, incident goes on report, and Leeds are going to get a penalty right on the Huddersfield line. And Ian Smith gives the penalty here. What are Leeds going to do? Kevin Sinfield wants to get on with it. Brad Drew, Earl Crabtree are trying to stop him. Ball's been knocked out of his hands. Referee Smith's now going to have a word with Brad Drew about this. And it's all getting a little tasty still. And Kevin Sinfield's given Ian Smith the signal, and Leeds are going to take the 2 on offer. And here's Roy Adams with the kicking tee for Kevin Sinfield. And Sinfield with the penalty kick. And here is Sinfield just to the left of the post. This should be a nailed on 2 points. Here is Sinfield, kicks on its way, the flags are up. We've had 19 minutes of the second half on my watch here at Headingley Carnegie Stadium. Engage Super League 12, it's Leeds Rhinos 16, Huddersfield Giants 8. And here is Chris Thorman to get us underway. Line drive kick right down centre of the pitch. It's going to be trapped by Webb on the foot, and he tips it back for Jamie Peacock. And Peacock bounces away from the first couple of challenges. Sinfield at dummy half. Diskin finds Lawatiti. Diskin at dummy half, looks the short side, and Senior. Diskin at dummy half, finds Sinfield. Leeds are going to put boots a ball. Good kick from Kevin Sinfield. It's turned Chris Thorman, and that will sit up in the in goal. And Thorman's going to be forced to run the ball back. How good's the chase? It's good, and it's Jamie Jones Buchanan again leading the way. Riley at dummy half, goes on his own where he's wrapped up from marker. Nero at dummy half, goes on his own. And again Ryan Bailey in on the defence. Drew at dummy half, finds Scandalis. Drew again at dummy half. Tries the near side, and Stuart Jones. Jones has popped it out for Drew. Long ball out for Riley. Riley up against Smith and Burrow, and the two do a really good job on the Huddersfield testimonial man. Brown at dummy half finds Drew, and Drew kicking, looking to find the sideline, but Tupi's there and tips it back for Brent Webb, and Webb looks up but runs into a good tackle from Keith Mason. Sinfield at dummy half finds Lee Smith, and Smith coming cross field, gets over the 40-metre line. Donald at dummy half will go on his own and runs into a big shoulder, but gets to just short of halfway. Webb at dummy half finds Bailey. Bailey looks to run all over Kevin Brown, but it's good defence from Huddersfield. And the North Stand punters have seen something in there, a bit of a roar, as Diskin finds Peacock out for Burrow. Here's Maguire. Leeds have got numbers out for Senior. Senior back for Donald. Donald cuts in field, gets away from Scandalis, and Donald straightens up, finds Webb. Back for Maguire, back for Lawatiti. Lawatiti for the line. Can he pop it out? He can for Smith. Here's Maguire. Maguire with a step. Oh, it's gone to ground. Smith's got it back. Back for Webb. Webb cuts a high one from Mason. Back for Sinfield. Sinfield's pass has gone into the hands of Robbie Paul. Oh, that was champagne football from the Rhinos, but unfortunately the money ball ends up in the hands of Robbie Paul, and Huddersfield survive. And that's going to be a penalty against Ryan Bailey for messing about in the play of the ball, and the Giants get a cheap opportunity to clear their lines. That was superb football, that from Leeds. Just a pity the ultimate pass went a little bit west. And as Chris Thorman puts this penalty into touch, it's a significant day here at Headingley. It's 35 years to the day since Leeds first played a Sunday match here at Headingley. It was a quarter-final of the Challenge Cup, and Leeds won by 11 points to 5 against Wakefield Trinity. Drew at dummy half finds Crabtree. Drew at dummy half. Finds Griffin. Drew again at dummy half. Good quick play of the ball, and Leeds are going to be pulled for offside. Markers not square ruled by Ian Smith. And Brad Drew tries to take a quick penalty, and you've not been able to do that for a couple of years. And it's going to be right on halfway. Thorman with the touch finder. That's hurled up in the wind, and it just about makes it over sideline. And Huddersfield will start on the 40 with Robbie Paul. Finds Brad Drew, gets it to Griffin. Drew at dummy half. Finds Kevin Brown. Brown gets it back on the inside for Jones. Drew at dummy half. Finds Skandalis. Skandalis has lost the ball, and Brent Webb picks up. And this is going to be play on and a zero tackle. No, it's not. There's no advantage, and we'll pack the scrum down on the 20-metre line. And here's Burrow. Sinfield from the base of the scrum. Finds Clinton Tupy. And there's a lot of messing about going on in the tackle. Sinfield at dummy half. Finds Lawatiti. Lawatiti's lost that. And referee Smith's given the knock on. And John Skandalis is urging his troops to pack the scrum down. There's plenty of time left yet. There's 15 minutes left. And referee Smith's called time off, and Huddersfield didn't even have 5 in the scrum. And Huddersfield are going to move Crabtree out to stand off. Paul feeds the scrum. Brown from the base. Referee not happy with how the ball's gone in. Paul again. Brown from the base tries the short side, gets it out for Robbie Paul, and that's super defence from Danny Maguire. Brown at dummy half finds Griffin out for Scandala. Drew at dummy half pops the short pass out, cries a forward, it's gone into the hands of Griffin. Drew at dummy half finds Missy Skandalis, gets it for Robbie Paul. Paul with the little kick looking for Wild, and Brent Webb is across to cover the danger. Good work from the New Zealander, but it's another set for the Huddersfield Giants. And Leeds are looking to make a change. And it's Keith Senior who's making his way to sideline. And Gareth Ellis is coming on. Must be a problem for Keith Senior if he's leaving the field this early. And it's Sinfield with the goal line dropout. Not the best. Along the floor, trapped on the foot by Robbie Paul, and he tips it up for Darryl Griffin, but the chase is good from the Rhinos. Huddersfield will start on the 30-metre line. Drew at dummy half finds Skandalis. Drew again at dummy half finds Thorman. Thorman with the dummy, and Matt Diskin does really well to cling on. Brown at dummy half finds Brad Drew. Drew flips it out for Robbie Paul. Paul's long pass for Wild. Wild trips in the mud and can't get away. Paul at dummy half. Paul changes his mind, gets it out for Crabtree. Crabtree can't get the ball away. Last tackle for the Giants. Paul at dummy half finds Drew. Drew with the little tip into the in goal, and Leeds are just going to have to force to make it dead. And it's going to be yet another goal line dropout for the Leeds Rhinos, and Huddersfield are building pressure here at the moment. And Huddersfield have made another change. Somebody sneaked on in a clean kit. Just having a look for who it is. Kylie Luluai's come back on and Jamie Peacock's gone off. As Daryl Griffin charges in for the Huddersfield Giants. Drew at dummy half. Pops it out for Skandalis again. Big cry from the south stand. Drew at dummy half. Finds Paul out for Wild. Here's Lalacy. Lalacy. Gardner at dummy half. Finds Paul. Paul flings it out for Wild. Out for Lalacy. Lalacy can't get away from Danny Maguire. Huddersfield at 8 metres away from the line. Gardner at dummy half. Decides to go on his own. Not the best pass. It's come off the knees. And Ryan Bailey's lost it. And it's going to be a scrum down for the Huddersfield Giants. And all of a sudden somebody's thrown something. And Lawatiti's been pushed to ground. And Huddersfield are going to get their fourth set on the Rhinos line. Brown from the base finds Paul out for Thorman. Thorman, long ball for Nero. Nero puts the step on. Nero for the line has got over and he's not giving it. He's been held up. Super defence from the Rhinos. Can't see who's under there. It's Lee Smith for one and Brent Webb for two. Huddersfield still get the ball in a 10 and Brad Drew's coughed it up and the chance goes for the Giants and maybe that could be the ball game. And Leeds are looking to get Jordan Tanzi into the game now with 9 minutes left. It's still 16-8 to the Rhinos. Huddersfield again looking to get the clock stopped. And the referee does eventually call time off. Scrums packed. Sinfield from the base finds Gareth Ellis and Ellis steps round Thorman and it's a good run from Gareth Ellis. As Maguire finds Lawatiti. Maguire at dummy half finds Kylie Luluai. Tanzi at dummy half finds Brent Webb out for Burrow. Burrow looks up, gets round Brown but can't get away from Stuart Jones. Sinfield at dummy half will get out and kick again. It's a good kick from Kevin Sinfield and that is going to hold up. Here comes the chase, Herring down and again it's Tupy and Smith this time leading the way. Ball's come out and referee Smith has ruled a ball steal and that looks to be a little harsh. And here is Thorman. Keith Mason has come back on for the Giants and here he is with the ball. Here is Drew at dummy half. Finds Skandalis. Drew at dummy half. Flings it out for Nero. Here's Riley, steps back in off the wing. The ball's come out, it's been ruled backwards. That's a fair call. Here's Hudson. Brown at dummy half finds Skandalis. And Leeds are looking to get Jamie Thackeray back into the thick of things. Here's Thorman out for Robbie Paul. Paul finds Stephen Wild and that one's been dropped into the hands of Scott Donnell and Donnell just can't get away from the clutches of Jamal Lalacy. Webb at dummy half goes on his own and he's wrapped up by Robbie Paul. Tansy at dummy half finds Lawatiti. Tansy again at dummy half finds Luluai, and Luluai smashes into Brad Drew. Tansy again at dummy half looks for the short side, and Ellis stands in the challenge, but he's put to ground. 35 away from the line. Maguire at dummy half finds Jamie Thackeray. Thackeray turns in the tackle, looks to offload, but decides to stick hold. Oh, and Jordan Tansy's knocked on, trying to get a quick ball away, and now has conceded a penalty by throwing the ball away. That's a little bit of inexperience showing through there from the youngster. And it's going to be Brad Drew with the kick, heading towards us, and Huddersfield will start just short of halfway. Here's Robbie Paul, flings it out for Drew. Drew finds Kevin Brown out for Thorman, and Huddersfield have got numbers here. Here's Thorman, and Thorman just can't get the pass away. But Huddersfield are over halfway. Here's Nero, finds Crabtree with what can only be described as a looping pass, and Crabtree has no options and he's forced to ground in centre field. Drew at dummy half finds Scandalis, and again the South Stand cry for a forward pass. Drew at dummy half finds Hudson. Hudson just can't get away, but they're 15 metres away from the line. Drew at dummy half looks up, but he's taken by Jordan Tansy. This is going to be the last tackle. Huddersfield have got men queuing up on the northern side. Hudson at dummy half finds Brown. Brown with the kick in for Smith, and Lee Smith's done really well to take that. And it's going to be a 20-metre restart for the Rhinos. Leeds looking to get on with it with Sinfield. Sinfield boots the ball downfield. Here we go. Here's a foot race again. Scott Donald against Stephen Wild. Stephen Wild's going to get there first, and Wild picks up, and he's going to fling the ball out. No, he isn't. Super chase from Scott Donald, and Leeds have got Huddersfield back in their own end. Here's Riley. Riley goes to ground in Burrow's challenge. Brown from dummy half goes on his own, and good hit from Clinton Tupy, and he's lost it. Oh, and referee Smith again has ruled that Clinton Tupy has ripped the ball out, and somebody's opened the mouth, and somebody's opened the mouth too much, and it's Brent Webb who's going to get a second spell in the sin bin. He said something to the official. That's Brent Webb's game over. There's only 4 minutes left, and Leeds are going to have to survive with 12 men. As Thorman puts the kick over sideline, Huddersfield will start 43 away from the Leeds line. Thorman finds Brad Drew in for Mason. Drew at dummy half finds Scandalis. Drew again at dummy half. Oh, he's knocked on. Yes, and Ian Smith's picked it up. Big cry from the South Stand. Very ironic indeed. And Leeds are going to get the scrum on the 20-metre line. And Leeds pack this scrum down just on the 20-metre line. Jamie Jones-Buchanan from the base finds Lee Smith. Nothing silly now from the Rhinos, and Smith takes a couple of big hits in there. Lawatiti at dummy half finds Ellis. Tansy at dummy half finds Thackeray. Tansy at dummy half finds Burrow, out for Maguire, pops it back for Tupy. Crowd crying for a penalty. It's with Jamie Jones-Buchanan, flings it out for Smith. Chance for the Rhinos. Here's Ellis out for Scott Donald. Donald up against Gardner, and Donald just does the sensible thing. Last tackle for the Rhinos on the 30-metre line. Donald finds Sinfield, and Sinfield just kicks the ball into touch, and Leeds will get a scrum just on the 10-metre line. 15,703 people here at Headingley Carnegie for this Engage Super League Round 4 clash. And the flying pizza man of the match today for the Leeds Rhinos is number 2, Scott Donald, as Gardner finds Brown. Here's Chris Nero. Oh, that's super covering from Kevin Sinfield. 30 seconds left on my watch. There will be a bit of time to add on as Riley goes from dummy half. Nero at dummy half finds Crabtree. Crabtree flings it out for Hudson for Robbie Paul. Here's Jamal Lalesi has got Maguire, Ellis and Lauatiti in front of him and can't make any more progress. Paul at dummy half finds Brad Drew gets it for Scandalis out at the back door for Brown. Here's a chance for Nero for Riley. That was a mile forward. Riley up against Burrow. Riley's popped it inside for Mason, and Keith Mason finds Thorman, and Huddersfield are going to score. We're right on the 40-minute mark in the second half, and Chris Thorman gets in for the Huddersfield Giants. The pass to Riley was a country mile forward. It was an absolute shocking decision from the touch judge. Riley manages to tip the ball back on the inside for Mason. Mason didn't back himself, pops it inside for Thorman, and Thorman it is who gets over for the try. And Thorman is in no rush to get on with the conversion, and Thorman's kick has been waved away by the touch judges. We've gone over the 40-minute mark here in the second half. It's Leeds Rhinos 16, Huddersfield Giants 12. And we're deep into injury time here as Sinfield drives the kick low. Finds Brown, gets it back for Scandalis. And is there time for the Huddersfield Giants to snatch something out of this game? Drew at dummy half. Probing, can't get away. Huddersfield really do need to fling this ball about at the moment. Drew dives, looking for the penalty. Paul finds Thorman. Thorman out for Brown. Here's Nero. Here's Riley again. Riley pops it back inside for Crabtree. Here's Kevin Brown out for Scandalis, and Scandalis just goes to ground. Mason at dummy half finds Brad Drew out for Hudson. Hudson for Wild. Wild cuts on the inside, and a chance here for Stephen Wild. Oh, and Lee Smith has just batted that ball down. Huddersfield are going to try and get the clock stopped. Time called off. Lee Smith might have just saved the match there. We're 2.5 minutes over. Time is off at the moment. And here is one last chance for the Huddersfield Giants. Robbie Paul feeds the scrum. Crabtree from the base finds Paul. Here's Brown out for Thorman. Thorman's pass for Nero, not the best. Again a crier forward. Hooter can't be far away. Riley still moving. And Riley goes to ground. Nero at dummy half finds Mason out for Thorman. Here's Brad Drew with the long pass for Hudson. Hudson tries to step on the inside. Can Leeds hold on with 12 men? Drew at dummy half finds Thorman. They've got millions of men this side as Crabtree. Crabtree, can he get the ball out? No, he can't. They're on the 10-metre line. Here's Drew. Drew changes direction for Thorman. The kick's a shocker, and it goes over the dead ball line, and maybe that is the break that Leeds needed. And Leeds all of a sudden are in no rush I can see Billy Watts closely looking at the watch. There's the full-time hooter. That's it, the end of the game. In a frantic finish, Leeds Rhinos pick up the 2 competition points. Tries in the first half from Clinton Tupy, Earl Crab from Clinton Tupy, Jamie Jones Buchanan and Lee Smith. 2 goals from Kevin Sinfield, giving them the 16 points. For Huddersfield, Earl Crabtree in the 21st minute. Chris Thorman in injury time, 2 goals from Thorman. But Leeds have won this game by 16 points to 12. Your picture's brought to you by Russell Callahan. We're back next weekend, and the first trip to Hull KR in 13 years. From me, Matthew Horton, at a very dark and damp Headingley Carnegie Stadium, it's thank you and good afternoon.